I donated my inheritance to save my husband's company, then found out he'd transferred it to his mistress's account. Hi everyone. Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. The wire transfer went through on a Tuesday morning. $800,000. My entire inheritance from my parents, who died in a car accident 6 months earlier. Every penny they'd saved over 40 years of marriage, every investment they'd made, every sacrifice they'd endured to build something to leave behind. I signed the papers without hesitation. My husband Ryan needed it. His company was drowning in debt, losing clients, on the verge of bankruptcy. This money would save everything he'd built. I trusted him completely. That was my first mistake. Let me go back to the beginning, when I still believed in fairy tales. I met Ryan 7 years ago at a friend's wedding. He was charming in that effortless way some men have, telling stories that made everyone lean in closer. He owned a marketing consulting firm, talked passionately about helping small businesses grow, about building something meaningful instead of just chasing profit. He seemed genuine, grounded, different from the finance guys I'd dated who only talked about money. We married after dating for 2 years, small ceremony, close friends and family. My parents loved him. My father pulled me aside at the reception and said, "You found a good one. He'll take care of you." I wish my father had been right. The first 5 years were good. Ryan's business grew steadily. We bought a house in a nice neighborhood, talked about having children eventually, after things were more stable. I worked as a nonprofit program director, making decent money, but nothing spectacular. We were comfortable, happy enough. Then my parents died. A drunk driver ran a red light on a Saturday afternoon. They were gone instantly, the police said. No suffering. Small comfort when your world collapses. The grief was overwhelming. Ryan was supportive in those first weeks, holding me while I cried, handling logistics I couldn't face. He came to the funeral and stood beside me while I accepted condolences from people whose names I couldn't remember. "We'll get through this together," he whispered. 3 months after the funeral, the estate settled. My parents had been careful with money, invested wisely, lived below their means. They left everything to me, their only child. The total came to just over $800,000. It felt like blood money. I would have given every penny back to have them alive. Ryan was the one who suggested I invest it rather than leave it in a savings account. "Make it grow," he said. "That's what they would have wanted." He was probably right. My parents had been practical people. They'd want their money working, not sitting idle. Around that same time, Ryan's business hit a rough patch. A major client left, taking several smaller accounts with them. A competitor had undercut his pricing. Some of his team members quit for better opportunities. The perfect storm of small business catastrophe. He tried to hide it from me at first, but I could see the stress. The late nights, the worried phone calls, the spreadsheets he'd close quickly when I walked by. "How bad is it?" I finally asked one evening. He looked exhausted, defeated. "Bad. I might lose everything." "What do you need?" "About $500,000 to keep operating while I rebuild the client base. But the banks won't lend to me right now. My credit's maxed out. I've hit up every investor I know." I didn't even hesitate. "Use my inheritance." "No, absolutely not. That's your money, your parents' legacy." "My parents' legacy is me, and I'm married to you. We're a team, right? If you go down, we both do. Let me help." "Are you sure?" "Completely." That night, we went over the business finances together. He showed me the accounts, the debts, the projection models. With the injection of capital, he could pay off the immediate debts, keep his best employees, and have runway to land new clients. "This will save everything," he said. I can't tell you how much this means to me. You'd do the same for me? I would. I promise I'll pay you back every penny. We're married. It's our money, not mine or yours. He kissed me, and I felt like we were in this together. Partners facing adversity. Love conquering financial hardship. I was so naive. The wire transfer happened the next week. $800,000 from my parents' estate account to Ryan's business account. I watched the numbers change on the screen and felt a flutter of anxiety quickly suppressed. This was the right thing to do. This was what marriage meant. Ryan's relief was palpable. He threw himself into work with renewed energy, working 18-hour days to rebuild. I supported him however I could, bringing dinner to the office, handling things at home, giving him space to focus. Things are turning around, he'd say. New clients are interested. The team's motivated. This is going to work. I believed him. 2 months after the wire transfer, Ryan said he needed to hire a new accountant. His previous bookkeeper had quit, and with the influx of capital and the business restructuring, he needed someone who could handle more complex finances. I've been doing interviews, he said. Found someone really good. Her name's Claire Morrison. She's got great references, experience with businesses our size. I think she'll be perfect. That's great. When does she start? Monday. I met Claire the following week when I stopped by Ryan's office to drop off some documents. She was in her early 30s, plain-looking in a forgettable way. Mousy brown hair pulled back, minimal makeup, conservative clothing. She seemed shy, barely making eye contact when Ryan introduced us. Claire's already making a huge difference, Ryan said enthusiastically. She found some inefficiencies in our billing process that were costing us money. That's wonderful, I said, shaking Claire's hand. Her grip was limp, uncertain. Nice to meet you, she said softly. Ryan talks about you all the time. All good things, I hope. Of course. A small smile that didn't reach her eyes. I left thinking she seemed competent, if unremarkable. Exactly what Ryan needed. Someone organized and detail-oriented who'd keep the finances clean while he focused on bringing in business. Over the next few months, Claire became indispensable. Ryan praised her constantly. Claire caught another mistake in our vendor contracts. Claire reorganized the entire filing system. Claire found a way to reduce our insurance premiums. I was glad he had someone capable helping him. I should have been suspicious. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. But I was grieving my parents, working long hours at my own job, trying to keep our household running. I didn't have energy left for suspicion. Ryan started traveling more. Client meetings, he said, conferences, networking events. He'd be gone 2 or 3 nights a week sometimes. Is this necessary? I asked once. Can't some of these meetings be virtual? Face-to-face is important in this business. People want to know you, trust you. I can't build that over Zoom. It made sense. So I accepted his absences, his distraction, his growing emotional distance. 6 months after I'd wired the inheritance money, I decided to check on how the business was doing. Not because I didn't trust Ryan, but because I wanted to understand where my parents' legacy was being invested. Wanted to see it working, growing, making a difference. I asked Ryan for access to the business accounts. Just read-only access so I could see the financial health. He hesitated. Why do you need that? I just want to see how things are going. That was a lot of money, and I want to make sure it's being used well. Of course it is. I told you, business is turning around. Then there's no reason I can't see the accounts. It's not that simple. There are client confidentiality issues, proprietary information. I can't just give access to the financial systems. Ryan, I'm your wife. I put almost $1 million into this company. I think I'm entitled to see the books. You don't trust me? That's not what I said. That's what you're implying. The conversation ended in a fight. He accused me of being controlling, of treating him like a child who couldn't manage money. I accused him of being secretive and defensive. We went to bed angry. The next day, he apologized, said he was stressed and overreacted. Promised he'd set up access for me. He just needed to talk to Claire about how to do it properly without compromising client privacy. 2 weeks passed. No access. When I brought it up again, he said Claire was working on it, but there were technical issues with the permissions. I let it go. I had my own work stress, my own problems. I told myself I was being paranoid, but a seed of doubt had been planted. I started paying more attention. Noticed that Ryan's phone was always face down now, that he'd take calls in another room, that his late nights at the office seemed more frequent, that the business trips always seemed to be to the same city, Atlanta, where he claimed his biggest new client was located. I mentioned the Atlanta trips to a friend over lunch. That seems like a lot. Is the client really that demanding? They're a big account, Ryan had said when I asked him the same question. Worth the time investment. But something felt off. One evening, while Ryan was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. I glanced at it without thinking. The preview showed a text from CM Work. Can't wait to see you this weekend. I've missed you. My blood went cold. I picked up the phone. It was locked, but I knew his passcode, our anniversary. He'd never changed it. I opened the message thread with CM Work. Months of text. Dozens of messages that were definitely not about work. Last night was amazing. I love you so much. Can't believe we have to hide this. She still doesn't suspect anything. I scrolled back further. Found references to hotel rooms, to trips they'd taken together, to money transfers, and photos. Photos of Ryan and Claire together. Not professional photos, intimate photos. Her sitting on his lap, them kissing, them in bed together. The bathroom door opened. Ryan came out in a towel, saw me holding his phone. What are you doing? I held up the phone so he could see the screen. Who's CM Work? His face went white. It's not what it looks like. It looks like you're fucking Claire. Lisa, let me explain. How long? Silence. How long? 4 months. 4 months. Since shortly after she was hired. Since shortly after I'd given him my inheritance. I want to see the business accounts. Right now. Lisa, please, let's talk about this. Show me the fucking accounts, or I'm calling the police and reporting theft. That got his attention. He grabbed his laptop, logged in with shaking hands, pulled up the business bank accounts. The main operating account had about $50,000 in it. The reserve account had $20,000. Total assets of $70,000. I'd transferred $800,000 6 months ago. Where's the rest? There were debts, operating costs, payroll. $730,000 in costs in 6 months? That's impossible. Show me the transaction history. He pulled it up. I scrolled through months of transfers. Most of them made sense vendor payments, payroll, rent. But there were others. Large transfers to an account I didn't recognize. $50,000 here, $70,000 there, over and over. What account is this? It's a savings account for business reserves. What's the account number? He told me. I grabbed my laptop, opened a browser, navigated to the bank's website, logged into my own accounts to access the bank's search function. I entered the account number. The account wasn't registered to Ryan's business. It was registered to Claire Morrison. Over $600,000 of my inheritance had been transferred to my husband's mistress's personal account. I thought I might throw up. You gave my money to her. It's not like that. What is it like then? Ryan started crying. Actual tears. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It just happened. We fell in love. I didn't plan it. You gave her $600,000 of my parents' money. I was going to tell you. I was going to pay you back. I just needed time. Time for what? To drain the rest? To run off with her and leave me with nothing? No, I love you. I made a mistake. I can fix this. Get out. Lisa, get out of my house. Get out right now, or I'm calling the police. He left, threw on clothes, and walked out into the night. I locked the door behind him and collapsed on the floor. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, going through every financial record I could access, building a picture of the betrayal. Claire had been hired specifically to help steal my money. That was clear now. Ryan had probably been seeing her before my parents died, before the inheritance. They'd planned this together. The business hadn't been failing as badly as he'd claimed. Yes, he'd lost a client, but the financial crisis he'd described had been exaggerated, manufactured to make me desperate to help, to make me hand over my inheritance without question. And I had. I'd given him everything. By morning, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to be a victim. I was going to fight. I called a lawyer first thing. Not just any lawyer. I found a firm that specialized in financial fraud, paid for an emergency consultation. The attorney's name was Margaret Chen. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed and no-nonsense. "Tell me everything," she said. I did. Showed her the bank statements, the text messages, the transfers. Laid out the entire betrayal. She studied the documents with an expression that never changed. This is embezzlement, fraud, possibly wire fraud if they used electronic transfers across state lines. You have a very strong case. What are my options? Criminal charges, civil suit to recover the funds. Both. But criminal is going to be more effective for leverage. If they think they're going to prison, they'll be more motivated to cooperate. I want them destroyed. I can work with that. Margaret moved fast. Within 48 hours, she'd filed a police report and requested a meeting with the district attorney. She also filed a civil complaint and got a temporary restraining order freezing Claire's accounts. Claire tried to withdraw the money the day after I confronted Ryan. Found out she couldn't. Her bank accounts were locked pending investigation. According to Margaret, Claire called the bank in a panic. That's when she knew she was caught. Ryan tried to contact me dozens of times. Calls, texts, emails. I ignored all of it, forwarding everything to Margaret. Then Claire called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. "What do you want?" "Please." Her voice was shaking, nothing like the quiet competence she'd shown in the office. "Please drop the charges. I'll give the money back, all of it. Just don't send me to prison." "You stole from me. You helped my husband steal my parents' legacy." "I didn't know about your parents. Ryan said it was business investment money. He said you were a silent partner who didn't need details." "You're lying." "I'm not, I swear. He told me you knew about us, that you'd agreed to an open marriage, that the money was his to use however he wanted." I didn't believe her, but something in her desperation made me pause. "Put everything in writing. Every lie Ryan told you, every conversation about the money, every detail of your relationship. Write it all down and give it to my lawyer." "And you'll drop the charges?" "I'll consider reducing them." "Maybe," she agreed. The document Claire provided was 40 pages long, a complete confession of everything, how Ryan had pursued her deliberately when she started working for him, how he'd told her I was cold and distant, that our marriage was over in all but name, how he'd convinced her they had a future together. She'd believed him because she wanted to, because he was charming and confident and made her feel special. She'd helped him steal my money because he'd told her it was his money, that I was just a name on paper, that he'd earned it through his business success. Reading her statement, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But she'd still taken $600,000 that wasn't hers. She'd still been sleeping with my husband. Sympathy only went so far. Margaret used Claire's statement to build a devastating case against Ryan. With Claire cooperating and providing evidence, he had no defense. The district attorney offered him a choice: plead guilty and cooperate, or face trial for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. If convicted at trial, he was looking at 10 to 15 years in prison. Ryan took the plea deal, pleaded guilty to fraud, agreed to pay full restitution. The judge sentenced him to 5 years, suspended to probation contingent on repayment. Claire got a lesser sentence: 2 years probation, community service, and a restitution order. Both of them were ordered to return the money. The court froze all their assets. Claire's accounts were emptied to repay me. Ryan's business was liquidated. His car, his equipment, everything sold to generate funds. I got back $420,000 immediately. The rest would come from their wages over time. Both of them were now legally obligated to pay me a portion of whatever they earned until the debt was satisfied. It wasn't everything, but it was something. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. No fault, because I wanted it over quickly. Ryan didn't contest anything. He signed whatever Margaret put in front of him. I kept the house, kept my car, kept my dignity. Ryan moved back in with his parents. At 43 years old, he was broke, unemployed, and a convicted felon. His business contacts wouldn't touch him. His reputation was destroyed. Claire moved to another state. I heard she was working retail, sending me $100 a month toward her restitution obligation. At that rate, she'd be paying for the next 15 years. Good. As for me, I took the recovered money and did something my parents would have been proud of. I started a nonprofit providing financial literacy education to young women, teaching them about money management, investment, protecting themselves legally in partnerships. I called it the Eleanor Foundation, after my mother. The work is fulfilling in ways my previous job never was. I'm helping people avoid the mistakes I made, teaching them to protect themselves, to ask questions, to never hand over everything to someone else without safeguards. I date occasionally. Nothing serious. I'm not sure I'm capable of serious anymore. The betrayal broke something in me that hasn't fully healed, but I'm okay with that. I'd rather be alone and whole than partnered and broken. Sometimes I think about that Tuesday morning when I authorized the wire transfer. $800,000 sent without hesitation, given out of love and trust. I don't regret trusting Ryan. I regret that he wasn't worthy of trust. There's a difference. My parents worked their entire lives to build that inheritance. They saved and invested and sacrificed so they could leave something behind. Something that would take care of me after they were gone. Ryan tried to steal that. Tried to take my parents' legacy and give it to his mistress. But he didn't succeed, not fully. I fought back. I got justice. The money I recovered is doing good now. Helping women build their own security. Creating the kind of safety net my parents wanted for me. That's the real legacy, not the dollars. The strength to fight back when betrayed. The resilience to rebuild. The wisdom to help others avoid the same pain. I donated my inheritance to save my husband's company. He transferred it to his mistress's account. But I took it back, every dollar I could, and I used it to build something better than what he destroyed. That's my revenge, not the criminal charges or the probation or the ruined reputation. My revenge is thriving, building, creating something meaningful from the ashes of betrayal. My revenge is being stronger than he tried to make me weak. My parents would be proud of that.